The title track from Grand Funk Railroad's classic 1973 album, We're an American Band, written and sung by our guest today, drummer Don Brewer, a founding member of Flint, Michigan's Grand Funk, who next year will be celebrating its 50th anniversary. In the more immediate future, they'll be playing at the Tropicana in Atlantic City on Saturday, this coming Saturday, February 24th. It's a great honor to welcome a member of one of the most popular rock and roll bands on the planet. He's coming to your town to help you party down. Here's Don Brewer.
Oh, well, thank you.
and you know, I have to ask, when you guys did that song, and I believe you wrote that song and sing lead on it, did you say to yourselves, you know, we need an anthem, we need a mission statement?
No.
Okay.
No, we needed a hit record. I wasn't trying to wave the flag or come up with an anthem or anything. I was just trying to write a hit record. And you know, the last phrase that I came up with was "We're an American Band." I had the rest of the song done, and I really couldn't come up with a tag. You know, and then just one day I was just plucking away on my guitar and singing the song, and it just dawned on me, "We're an American Band," and it sang well and it sounded good. You know, and there it was. You know, that was the right way to go.
Yeah, I'll say. You guys are from Michigan, and you tend to get lumped into that sort of Detroit scene of the Stooges and the MC5, and you guys are from Flint, and you were really not part of that Detroit hard rock and proto-metal scene.
Correct. Yeah, we were a little bit like the Outcasts. You know, everybody referred to us before we were Grand Funk. We were the Pack and Terry Knight and the Pack, and everybody from Ann Arbor to Detroit, you know, all the places down there, you know, they all had their little clique going on, and we were the band from Flint, you know. So we really had to get out of Michigan to make it, you know, and we luckily got on the first Atlanta Pop Festival in Byron, Georgia in 1970, I think it was, maybe 69. And that's where we broke out of. You know, we were an unknown band. We played the opening day of the festival. You know, a favor of a favor, you know, kind of got us on that thing, and it was like all the talk of that festival was about Grand Funk Railroad. So that's what got us going.
And for a while there in the early 70s, you had some album cuts that were played on FM radio, but you hadn't yet really crossed over into the hit-making machine that you would eventually become.
Yeah, the first 6 albums, we had charted singles, you know, Heartbreaker, I think, charted, Time Machine, I'm Your Captain, Closer to Home, you know, all of those things, you know, they charted, but they weren't huge hit singles. But yes, they were huge albums, you know, and it was all album-oriented rock back then on FM radio, and the jocks could play 7-minute songs, you know, and they could play anything they wanted to, you know, whenever they wanted to, so there was no programming, you know, so that's what we were riding on, and you know, that all changed. That's when I started doing some songwriting. When FM radio became the hit formula kind of a thing, and all of the songs had to be 3 minutes long or less, you know, and that kind of, you know. So we had to convert and start writing hit songs.
Yeah, but you still kept that Grand Funk gravitas in your hit songs.
Oh, absolutely. It was rock. I mean, we were kind of an R&B band, you know. I mean, we grew up, you know, listening to Motown and Otis Redding and Wilson Pickett and Aretha Franklin, and all of those artists were our big influences, you know, the Four Tops and Temptations and all that stuff. And we took that, you know, that R&B, you know, flavor that we had, and we just cranked it up on steroids, you know, similar to what Hendrix and Cream and Blue Cheer did with the blues. They took the blues and pumped it up on steroids and made it theirs, and that's what we did with R&B. You know, so you know, and we kept that flavor. You know, we even true to our roots. You know, with Some Kind of Wonderful. You know, that was originally done by the Soul Brother Six.
Yeah, can you tell us how you came across that song and what the decision was to cover it, because it wound up being such a massive, massive hit.
Huge hit, you know, and that's the one that our version of that song is the song everybody knows Some Kind of Wonderful by, you know. Nobody really knows the Soul Brother 6 version, and it's, you know, we met the writer just a few weeks ago, John Ellison.
Wow.
We were playing up in upstate New York, and he lives across in Ontario in Canada, and he came to the show. And he told us the story of the song. He wrote the song about a girl he was dating back in when he was in the Soul Brother 6, and he was broke. And I don't need a whole lots of money. I don't need a big fine car.
Right.
But you are some kind of wonderful. And he wrote the song around that. And yeah, I mean it's the most recorded song in the history of music. In other words, more artists have recorded that song than any other song.
We're talking to Don Brewer of Grand Funk Railroad today on the Vintage Rock and Pop Shop, and they have a show coming up this coming Saturday, February 24th at 8 p.m. at the Tropicana in Atlantic City. I'd like to ask you about another Grand Funk song, a favorite of mine, Walk Like a Man.
Walk Like a Man, co-wrote with Mark Farner. We came up with the idea, as far as the blah, da 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 bow, and I was, kind of expressing my early 20s, late teens kind of thing. You can strut like a cock until you're 99, and all
right.
that kind of stuff. So yeah, great song. I think, it's been done in a lot of movies, a lot of commercials, that have used it. So yeah, great song.
Amazing. Once again, Grand Funk Railroad performing at the Tropicana Atlantic City, February 24th at 8 p.m. I know that the group started out as a three-piece. Now you've expanded to, there's 5 guys in Grand Funk.
Correct. We've been touring with the same band now since 2000, so we're going on 18 years. And when we put this rendition together, we wanted to make sure we could cover all the bases of the recordings. When you're a trio, there, on the recordings, there's usually overdubs, and there's this and that. There's extra vocals, there's that, extra keyboard, extra guitar, that kind of stuff. So we wanted to cover all the bases, and so we made sure we had an extra guitar and an extra keyboard, and an extra singer, and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a great band. It's just a great bunch of guys. Like I say, we've been touring coming up on 18 years now, so which is unheard of in this business, that the same group stays together that long.
Yeah, I was almost going to refer to Bruce Kulick as the new guy, but that doesn't make any sense really at this point.
I know. Well, we still call those guys the new guys, But,
yeah. Next year, I don't know if you really think about these things, but next year does mark the 50th anniversary of Grand Funk Railroad, does it not? 50
years, yes, it does. Wow.
I mean,
thunk it.
Are there any plans to do like vinyl reissues, or even though it's not the 50th anniversary of the show, maybe that Shea Stadium performance coming out or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. We will probably get in touch with Universal, or they'll get in touch with us. They'll probably want to do something for the 50th anniversary, and so, yeah, we could put together something to do. We haven't really had plans to do anything yet. It's always like, let's get through this year, and then we'll worry about next year then.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot here and ask if you can check in the recesses of your memory, what would be the craziest gig that Grand Funk Railroad ever played?
Well, one of them was certainly, playing in a sold-out baseball stadium in Tokyo, Japan, in the middle of a typhoon. It truly, I mean, we are legendary in Japan for the band that played in a typhoon. And the people stayed, and the rain and the wind were blowing sideways, and we were on stage, and we played right during the typhoon, so that's got to be, certainly one of the craziest shows we've ever done.
Well, let's hope there's no typhoons on February 24th at the Tropicana in Atlantic City, and everybody should come on out and see you. Where can people go to get the latest information about where you're going to be and upcoming events?
Oh, it's always grandfunkrailroad.com. That's our website. They've got a great tour page on there. We just updated the tour page. We've got about 30 shows going already for this year. We'll probably do 40, 45 shows, and there's great stuff on there. There's a segment called Out on the Road that is all updates and pictures from each show that we do. So that it's always updated every week. And got some great merchandise on there, some great information. I think even that story I told you about the song "Some Kind of Wonderful" and us meeting John Ellison is on there. So check it out.
And I would think that with the longevity of the band and the fact that you have these songs which are always played on classic rock radio, that you must have multiple generations not only going to the website, but also going to your shows.
It is 3, sometimes 4 generations, especially the festivals that we play. And it's, you see, grandkids, kids, parents, and grandparents all out in the audience. And they've got their kids and grandkids up on their shoulders, and they're all singing some kind of wonderful "I'm Your Captain," "Closer to Home," an American Band, a Loco-Motion. It's amazing. It's an incredible feeling, to see that you have affected that many generations of people, And we get a lot of young people that come to the shows just out of curiosity. They go, "Who's Grand Funk Railroad?" And then they come in and they hear the songs. They go, "Oh, I know that song. I know that song."
Right.
And they can't believe, that we rock. It's a rock and roll show. Full on gangbuster rock and roll show. So it's amazing to watch their faces.
Who would have thought Grand Funk Railroad becoming elder statesmen of rock and roll at this point?
That's right.
As we wrap up here, can you tell us the story? Because we're going to go into this song at the end of this. Can you tell us the story behind the decision to record the Loco-Motion?
We had finished the We're an American Band record, which was probably our biggest album ever, and We're an American Band, the single, was our biggest single ever. And we were going into another studio session with Todd Rundgren at our studio up in Michigan, and we had, pretty much finished the record. We had finished Shining On, we had finished, all of these other things, and we just weren't sure that we had that extra hit. So that's when we came up with the idea of doing the Loco-Motion. Grand Funk Railroad doing the Loco-Motion. It was kind of like it was so stupid it had to work.
It makes perfect sense. You could have had a whole second career of nothing but railroad songs, and
that's right.
All right, Don, I want to thank you so much. A great thrill to speak with you, and upwards and onwards on to the 50th anniversary.
Well, thank you very much. We're looking forward to it.